Relax and calm your body. Let every muscle from your forehead to your toes become heavy and soft. Feel the surface beneath you supporting your weight completely. You are safe. You are still. As you breathe in, imagine you are inhaling the cool, quiet peace of the stars. As you breathe out, let go of the day, the noise, and the gravity of Earth. We are drifting away now into the infinite wonders of the deep cosmos. All you have to do is listen, and sleep will come to you naturally. The pillars of creation. Deep within the Eagle Nebula, giant spires of gas and dust rise like majestic towers in the dark. These are the pillars of creation, a cosmic nursery where new stars are being born from the cold interstellar clouds. They stretch for light years across the void, glowing with the ghost light of infant suns. Imagine the silence of these towers, standing tall in a cathedral of ancient gas, hidden from the eyes of the world. The Butterfly Nebula. When a star reaches the end of its life, it sometimes creates a masterpiece of light. The Butterfly Nebula is a dying sun that has ejected its outer layers in two magnificent wings of glowing gas. These wings span over 3 light years and are heated to over 30,000 degrees. It is a fragile, fleeting beauty, a celestial butterfly pinned against the velvet blackness of the interstellar night, destined to fade away over thousands of years. The Great Orion Nebula. In the sword of the constellation Orion, a fuzzy patch of light hides one of the most active star-forming regions in our galaxy. The Orion Nebula is a massive cloud of glowing hydrogen where hundreds of suns are coming to life at this very moment. It is so bright that it can be seen with the naked eye from Earth, a glowing beacon of creation that has watched over humanity since the beginning of time. The Eye of God. The Helix Nebula is a planetary nebula that looks remarkably like a giant blue and orange eye staring out from the deep universe. Its intricate layers of gas were puffed out by a star much like our own sun as it slowly ran out of fuel. It serves as a cosmic mirror, showing us the eventual fate of our own solar system in a distant, peaceful future. It is a silent observer, watching the eons pass in the stillness of the Aquarius constellation. The Sombrero Galaxy. Across the vast distance of 28 million light-years sits a galaxy that looks like a giant floating hat. The Sombrero Galaxy features a brilliant white core surrounded by a thick, dark rim of dust. This dust lane is where new stars are huddling, hidden in the shadows of a galaxy that contains billions of suns. It spins with a quiet, majestic grace, a silver disk of light lost in the deep ocean of the Virgo constellation. The Ghost of Cassiopeia. In the constellation of the Queen, a faint, wispy nebula known as the Ghost of Cassiopeia drifts through the dark. It is being slowly eroded by the intense radiation of a nearby giant star, causing the gas to glow with a haunting, ethereal light. It looks like a tattered veil caught in a cosmic breeze, a reminder that even the strongest structures in space are eventually shaped and moved by the invisible hands of light. The Whirlpool Galaxy. The Whirlpool Galaxy is a perfect spiral, a grand design of stars and gas that is currently locked in a slow-motion dance with a smaller neighbor. Its long, graceful arms are lined with pink nurseries of baby stars and dark lanes of dust. The two galaxies are slowly merging, a process that takes hundreds of millions of years. It is a cosmic waltz, performed in total silence across the vast stage of the Canes Venitatici constellation. The Crab Nebula. In the year 1054, ancient astronomers saw a new star appear in the sky, so bright it was visible during the day. Today, we see the remains of that explosion as the Crab Nebula. At its heart sits a pulsar, a dead star the size of a city that spins 30 times every second. It sends out a rhythmic pulse of energy, like a ticking clock in the middle of a chaotic cloud of colorful gas, marking the passage of time in the wreckage of a sun. The Southern Ring Nebula. A giant dying star at the center of the Southern Ring Nebula has been sending out waves of gas for thousands of years, like ripples in a pond. These shells of dust create a complex, multi-layered structure of blues and oranges. From our perspective, it looks like a glowing jewel box, a cemetery for a star that spent billions of years shining before finally choosing to rest in a shroud of its own making. The Heart and Soul Nebulae. Located near each other in the Perseus arm of our galaxy, the Heart and Soul Nebulae are massive complexes of glowing red gas. Together, they span hundreds of light years. They are filled with clusters of young stars that carve out giant bubbles in the gas with their intense winds. They look like glowing organs of light in the body of the Milky Way, pulsing with the energy of new life and the quiet warmth of the cosmic void. The star that refused to die. In the constellation of Carina sits Eta Carina, one of the most massive and unstable stars in our galaxy. In the mid-19th century, it suddenly became the second brightest star in the sky, erupting with the energy of a supernova, yet it survived. Today, it is surrounded by the Homunculus Nebula, two massive lobes of dust and gas shaped like an hourglass, thrown out by that violent outburst. It remains a ticking time bomb, a stellar giant flickering in the dark, preparing for its final, spectacular end. The Diamond Planet. Deep in the constellation of Cancer, astronomers have found a world where the very ground beneath your feet would be made of precious gems. Known as 55 Cancri E, this planet is twice the size of Earth, but far more dense. Because it is so rich in carbon and subjected to immense pressure and heat, scientists believe at least a third of its mass is composed of pure diamond. It is a glittering, scorched world orbiting so close to its sun that the surface is a landscape of liquid crystal and crystalline stone. The Pillars of the Carina Nebula. While the Pillars of Creation are famous, the Carina Nebula holds its own mystic mountain. These are 3 light-year-tall pillars of gas and dust that are being devoured by the brilliant light of nearby stars. At the very peaks of these pillars, jets of gas can be seen shooting out from infant stars hitting deep inside the dust. It is a battle between the old and the new, the radiation of giant suns tearing down the very nurseries where the next generation of stars is trying to wake up. The Great Void of Boötes. In a universe filled with galaxies, there is a place where almost nothing exists. The Boötes Void is an enormous spherical region of space, nearly 330 million light-years in diameter, that contains very few galaxies. If the Milky Way were in the center of this void, we wouldn't have known other galaxies existed until the 1960s. It is the loneliest place in the cosmos, a vast ocean of nothingness that reminds us just how much of the universe is made of silent, empty shadow. The Rose Nebula of Lyra. Looking like a glowing neon donut in the sky, the Ring Nebula is the ghost of a star that died long ago. As the star ran out of fuel, it cast off its outer layers in a series of colorful shells. The blue gas in the center is the hottest, while the red gas on the outer edge is the coolest. At the very center sits a tiny white dwarf, the cooling heart of the original star, shining with a faint, steady light in the middle of its own colorful cemetery. The Dragonfish Nebula. Hidden behind thick clouds of dust in our own Milky Way is the Dragonfish Nebula, a massive home to some of the largest stars in the galaxy. These giant suns have carved out a huge bubble in the surrounding gas, shaped like the gaping mouth of a deep-sea fish. It is one of the most luminous regions of our galaxy, yet it remained a secret for eons, cloaked in shadows, proving that the most powerful things in the universe are often the ones we cannot see at first glance. The Black Widow Pulsar. In the depths of space, there is a star that is slowly eating its companion. The Black Widow Pulsar is a rapidly spinning neutron star that emits a deadly beam of radiation. This beam is hitting a nearby smaller star, slowly evaporating its matter into a cloud of gas. Like the spider it is named after, the pulsar is consuming its partner to sustain its rhythmic, spinning life, a dark and silent drama playing out across the light years. The Rows of Galaxies. ARP-273 is a pair of interacting galaxies that, from our perspective, look like a perfectly formed rose. The larger galaxy has been pulled and stretched by the gravity of the smaller one, creating a stem and petals made of billions of stars. This cosmic flower is a sign of a violent encounter, yet from a distance it looks peaceful and delicate. It is a reminder that in the universe, even the most powerful forces can create something of breathtaking beauty. The Lagoon Nebula. The Lagoon Nebula is a giant interstellar cloud in the constellation of Sagittarius. It is a landscape of ridges, cavities, and sandy-looking beaches of dust. Inside, there are tornadoes, funnel-like structures caused by the intense heat and stellar winds of young stars. It is a place of constant motion and energy, a cosmic ocean where the waves are made of glowing hydrogen and the shores are the edges of the dark void itself. The Tarantula Nebula. Located in a neighboring galaxy called the Large Magellanic Cloud, the Tarantula Nebula is the largest and most active star-forming region in our local group of galaxies. If it were as close to us as the Orion Nebula, it would take up half the sky and cast shadows on Earth at night. It is a web of glowing filaments and massive stars, a frantic and beautiful factory of light that has been producing suns since before the first humans walked the Earth. The Pillars of the Eagle. Within the heart of the Eagle Nebula, there exist towering clouds of cold molecular gas and dust that look like majestic stalagmites protruding from the floor of a cosmic cave. These spires, light years in length, are so dense that they protect the fragile infant stars forming inside them from the scorching radiation of nearby giants. They are the cathedrals of the cosmos, standing silent and tall in the dark, reminding us that even in the vast emptiness, the universe is a sculptor, constantly carving new life out of the shadows. The Diamond Star of Centaurus. Deep in the southern sky, there is a star that has literally turned into a jewel. This white dwarf, the cooling remains of a sun, has a core composed of crystallized carbon. Imagine a diamond the size of a planet, vibrating like a giant gong in the stillness of space. It is a relic of a once great fire, now a frozen, glittering monument to the physics of extreme pressure, shining with a pale, steady light that will last for trillions of years. The Red Rectangle. In the constellation of Monoceros, there is a mystery that defies the usual curves of the universe. The Red Rectangle is a nebula with a startlingly geometric X-shaped structure. While most gas clouds are round or chaotic, this one appears to have straight lines and sharp corners. It is likely created by two stars at the center, throwing out cones of gas that intersect in the dark. It is a rare piece of cosmic architecture, a sharp red diamond sitting in a sea of soft starlight. The ghostly Veil Nebula. The Veil Nebula is a massive, delicate-looking cloud of ionized gas, the shattered remains of a star that exploded thousands of years ago. It looks like a tethered, glowing lace curtain floating through the constellation of Cygnus. These wispy filaments are traveling at millions of miles per hour, sweeping up the interstellar dust and gas as they expand. It is a ghost of a violent past, now transformed into a peaceful, ethereal painting that stretches across the deep sky. The Great Barred Spiral. NGC 1300 is a galaxy that looks like a perfect cosmic propeller. Its center is dominated by a long, straight bar of stars that channels gas into the heart of the galaxy to feed a hidden black hole. The spiral arms are lined with clusters of bright blue stars and dark lanes of dust. It is a grand design, a spinning masterpiece of celestial mechanics that has been rotating in the silence of the Eridanus constellation for billions of years. The Necklace Nebula. Looking like a giant ring of glowing diamonds, the Necklace Nebula was created by a pair of stars that danced too close together. One star swallowed the other, causing a massive explosion of gas that formed a ring spanning 12 trillion miles. The diamonds are actually clumps of dense gas that glow brightly under the radiation of the surviving stars. It is a cosmic wedding ring, a beautiful and tragic symbol of two stars that became one in a flash of light. The star that time forgot. Methuselah is a star that shouldn't be here. It is one of the oldest known objects in the universe, containing very few metals and appearing to have formed shortly after the Big Bang. It has traveled across the galaxy at incredible speeds, a lonely survivor from the very dawn of time. Looking at it is like looking at the very first light of creation, an ancient, dim sun that has watched the entire history of the universe unfold from its front row seat. The Hourglass Nebula. The Hourglass Nebula is a young planetary nebula that looks like a giant glowing eye staring back at us from the stars. Its two distinct lobes of gas were created by a dying star that ejected its material in opposite directions. The intricate rings inside look like the iris of an eye, a vivid and colorful reminder that as stars reach their end, they don't just fade away, they create intricate works of art that linger in the dark for thousands of years. The Sleeping Beauty Galaxy. Also known as the Black Eye Galaxy, this world has a spectacular dark band of absorbing dust in front of its bright nucleus. This dust is the result of a collision between two galaxies long ago. What makes it even more mysterious is that the gas in the outer regions of the galaxy is rotating in the opposite direction from the stars in the center. It is a galaxy at war with itself, a beautiful but chaotic system that looks like a peaceful, closed eye in the deep night. The Cosmic Bat. Deep within the Orion Nebula, a dark, shadowy cloud of gas and dust takes the shape of a giant bat with its wings spread wide. This is a cold nebula where no stars have yet ignited to light it up. It sits in front of the glowing gas behind it, a silhouette of a hunter in the night. It is a place of potential, a dark nursery where the future stars of our galaxy are currently sleeping in a womb of cold, silent dust. The Medusa Nebula. Deep in the constellation of Gemini, the Medusa Nebula drifts like a ghostly, serpentine relic of a dying star. Once a sun much like our own, it has shed its outer layers, leaving behind glowing filaments of gas that resemble the snakes of its mythological namesake. It is a planetary nebula in its final stages, slowly expanding and thinning out until it will eventually vanish into the interstellar medium. It serves as a quiet, glowing monument to the inevitable transition of all stars, a peaceful fading into the velvet dark. The pillars of the Carina Nebula. While the Eagle Nebula is famous for its spires, the Carina Nebula holds the mystic mountain, towering pillars of gas and dust 3 light-years tall. These jagged peaks are being eroded by the intense radiation of nearby brilliant stars, yet deep within their dark interiors, infant suns are fighting to be born. It is a landscape of constant creation and destruction, a rugged mountain range of the cosmos where the very air is made of light and the shadows are made of the building blocks of future worlds. The diamond planet of 55 Cancri E. In a distant system, there is a world where the very ground beneath your feet might be made of precious gems. 55 Cancri E is a super-Earth that orbits so close to its parent star that its surface is likely a sea of molten lava. However, because the planet is rich in carbon and subjected to immense internal pressure, scientists believe at least 1/3 of its mass is composed of pure diamond. It is a glittering, high-pressure enigma, a world where the rains may be liquid crystal and the mountains are made of hardened light. The Ghost of Jupiter. The Ghost of Jupiter is a planetary nebula that looks remarkably like a pale blue-green eye staring out from the constellation of Hydra. It got its name not because it is near the planet Jupiter, but because it is roughly the same apparent size in a telescope. At its center lies a white dwarf star, blowing out a bubble of hot gas that creates the iris of the eye. It is a delicate, symmetrical beauty, a glowing bubble of ancient light that serves as a silent witness to the passage of eons in the deep sky. The star that escaped a black hole. S5 HVS1 is a star that is currently screaming through our galaxy at over nearly 4 million miles per hour. It was once part of a binary system that wandered too close to Sagittarius A star, the supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way. In a violent gravitational exchange, its companion was swallowed, and S5 HVS1 was flung outward like a stone from a slingshot. It is a lonely traveler, doomed to leave our galaxy forever and drift through the intergalactic void for the rest of eternity. The Hand of God Nebula. Looking like a giant glowing hand reaching out into the stars, this nebula is actually a pulsar wind nebula. At its center is a rapidly spinning neutron star that is spewing out a cloud of high-energy particles. These particles light up the surrounding gas, creating the shape of fingers and a palm made of X-ray light. It is a majestic and terrifying sight, a celestial silhouette created by the death of a massive star, standing as a silent gesture of power in the deep reaches of the Circinus constellation. The Bootes Void. In a universe filled with billions of galaxies, there is a place where there is almost nothing at all. The Bootes Void is a vast, spherical region of space, so empty that it is often called the loneliest place in the cosmos. If the Milky Way were in the middle of this void, we wouldn't have discovered other galaxies until the 1960s. It is a 330 million light-year wide ocean of shadow, a silent reminder of the scale of the universe and the vast, empty distances that separate the islands of light. The Butterfly's Final Flight. The Butterfly Nebula is a stunning example of what happens when a star dies a beautiful, violent death. 2 massive wings of gas, heated to over 36,000 degrees, stretch across 3 light-years of space. The star at the center is hidden behind a thick ring of dust, but its intense UV light makes the wings glow with brilliant purples and oranges. It is a fleeting masterpiece, a cosmic butterfly pinned against the blackness of space, slowly fluttering its wings as it fades into the long night. The Hourglass of MCN19. The Hourglass Nebula is a young planetary nebula with a startlingly precise shape. Its two glowing rings look like the bulbs of an hourglass, marking the countdown of a dying star's life. Inside the rings, a smaller, inner eye seems to stare back at the observer. This structure was likely created by the expansion of a fast stellar wind within a slowly expanding cloud that is denser near its equator. It is a piece of cosmic clockwork, a silent measurement of time in a place where time seems to stand still. The Pillars of the Eagle. Deep within the Eagle Nebula, towering clouds of cold molecular gas and dust stand like ancient monuments. These pillars of creation are several light years long and are so dense that they act as shields for the infant stars forming inside them. The tips of the pillars are being illuminated and eroded by the fierce radiation of nearby massive stars, creating a dramatic interplay of light and shadow. They are the cathedrals of the deep field, standing tall in a silent sea of glowing gas. The Helix Nebula's radiant iris. Commonly known as the Eye of God, the Helix Nebula is one of the closest planetary nebulae to Earth. It looks like a giant, detailed iris staring back at us from 650 light years away. This cosmic eye was formed when a star, similar to our Sun, shed its outer layers, which then collided with the surrounding gas. The result is a series of glowing cometary knots that point toward the central star like spokes on a wheel. It is a hauntingly beautiful reminder of the inevitable transformation that awaits our own sun in the far distant future. The Sombrero's dark halo. Floating in the Virgo cluster is the Sombrero Galaxy, a world that looks like a giant glowing hat. Its most striking feature is a thick, dark rim of dust that circles its brilliant white center. This dust lane is a massive ring of cold gas where new stars are huddling in the shadows, waiting to ignite. At its heart lies a supermassive black hole with the mass of 1 billion suns. Despite this power, the galaxy spins with a peaceful, silent grace, a disk of silver light lost in the vast, deep ocean of intergalactic space. The heart of the Milky Way. At the very center of our own galaxy lies a mystery wrapped in a shroud of dust. Sagittarius A Wingy is the supermassive black hole that anchors the Milky Way. Though we cannot see the hole itself, we can see the stars orbiting it at incredible speeds, whipped around by its invisible gravity. It is the engine of our galaxy, a dark heart that consumes anything that wanders too close, yet it is also the gravitational anchor that keeps our billion stars in their steady, spiraling dance. The ghostly veils of Cygnus. The Veil Nebula is a delicate, tattered cloud of gas that was once part of a massive star. When that star exploded 10,000 years ago, it sent out a shockwave that is still traveling today. These colorful, wispy filaments are the edges of that shockwave, glowing as they plow through the interstellar medium. It looks like a painting of light against the dark, a silent ghost of a violent ancient event that has been transformed into a peaceful, ethereal landscape stretching across the night sky. The Diamond Planet of Janssen. Circling the star 55 Cancri is a planet so dense and carbon-rich that scientists believe its interior is made of solid diamond. Known as Janssen, this world is a super-Earth where the surface temperature is hot enough to melt gold. Under the immense pressure of its own gravity, the carbon within the planet has crystallized into a diamond shell thousands of miles thick. It is a world of extreme wealth and extreme heat, a glittering jewel that sits forever in the fiery embrace of its parent star. The Mystic Mountain of Carina.
Inside the Carina Nebula, there is a jagged pillar of gas and dust 3 light-years tall that looks like a mountain from a dream. At its peaks, jets of gas can be seen shooting out from infant stars hidden deep within the dust. These stars are trying to form as even the intense radiation from nearby giants is eroding the very mountain they are born in. It is a landscape of struggle and creation, a rugged peak of the cosmos where the shadows are made of the building blocks of future worlds. The Rose of ARP 273. Two galaxies, millions of light-years away, have met in a gravitational embrace that have shaped them into a cosmic rose. The larger galaxy has been pulled and stretched by the smaller one, creating petals made of billions of blue stars. It is a beautiful illustration of how gravity can act like an artist's brush, turning a violent encounter into a work of breathtaking beauty. They will continue their slow-motion dance for millions of years before eventually merging into a single massive island of light. The Pillars of the Eagle's Nest. The Eagle Nebula is a nursery where stars are born in towering spires of cold molecular gas. These pillars of creation are several light-years long, standing like ancient monuments in the dark. The tips of the pillars are constantly being illuminated and worn away by the fierce radiation of nearby massive stars. Within these dark, cold towers, gravity is pulling gas together to form new suns, a silent and slow-motion process that has been repeating since the dawn of our galaxy. The Butterfly's Frozen Wings. The Butterfly Nebula is a stunning example of a bipolar planetary nebula. Its two massive wings of gas reach temperatures of over 36,000 degrees and stretch across 3 light-years of space. The star at the center is hidden behind a thick ring of dust, but its intense ultraviolet light makes the wings glow with vibrant purples and oranges. It is a fleeting masterpiece, a cosmic butterfly pinned against the blackness of space, slowly fluttering its wings as it fades into the long night. The Great Orion Nebula's glow. Visible to the naked eye, the Orion Nebula is a massive cloud of glowing hydrogen where hundreds of suns are coming to life. It is the closest large star-forming region to Earth, a celestial nursery where we can watch the birth of stars in real time. The nebula glows with a soft, ethereal light, a beacon of creation that has watched over humanity for millennia. It is a place of warmth and energy in the cold void, a glowing garden of stars in the middle of the winter sky.
The Pillars of the Eagle's Shadow. Deep within the heart of the Eagle Nebula, giant spires of gas and dust rise like majestic towers in the dark. These are the Pillars of Creation, a cosmic nursery where new stars are being born from the cold, interstellar clouds. They stretch for light-years across the void, glowing with the ghost light of infant suns. Imagine the silence of these towers, standing tall in a cathedral of ancient gas, hidden from the eyes of the world, slowly being eroded by the light of the very stars they helped to create. The Eye of the Hourglass. The Hourglass Nebula is a young planetary nebula with a startlingly precise shape. Its two glowing rings look like the bulbs of an hourglass, marking the countdown of a dying star's life. Inside the rings, a smaller inner eye seems to stare back at the observer from 8,000 light-years away. This structure was created by the expansion of a fast stellar wind within a slowly expanding cloud that is denser near its equator. It is a piece of cosmic clockwork, a silent measurement of time in a place where eternity feels close enough to touch. The Frozen Rose of NGC 7129. In the constellation of Cepheus, a cluster of young stars is surrounded by a rosebud-shaped nebula of reflective dust. These stars are only a few million years old, still wrapped in the blanket of gas from which they formed. The dust reflects the brilliant blue light of the infant suns, creating a cold, shimmering flower in the dark. It is a place of quiet beginnings, a celestial garden where the petals are made of frozen particles and the scent is the static of the deep vacuum. The great void of the Eridanus supervoid. While the universe is mostly filled with light and matter, there is a region in the constellation Eridanus that is hauntingly empty. Known as the supervoid, this area is nearly 1 billion light-years across and contains significantly fewer galaxies than the rest of the sky. It is a cold spot in the cosmic microwave background, a vast desert in the middle of a crowded universe. To drift through this void would be to experience a level of isolation that is almost beyond comprehension, a silent, dark sea where the nearest light is an impossible distance away. The Red Square Nebula. In a universe of circles and spheres, the Red Square Nebula is a geometrical anomaly. It is one of the most symmetrical objects ever discovered in space, appearing as a perfect glowing X shape or a nested series of squares. This sharp-edged beauty is created by a star that is ejecting thin cones of gas from its poles. Because we are viewing it from the side, the cones look like straight lines cutting through the dark. It is a rare masterpiece of celestial geometry, a crimson diamond shining in the heart of the Serpent constellation. The Ghost of the Lagoon. Inside the Lagoon Nebula, there is a region of intense star formation where massive stars have carved out hollowed-out caves and ridges in the gas. Amid this chaos sits the hourglass structure, a small, bright region created by the fierce winds of a single giant star. It looks like a ghostly apparition trapped inside a colorful cloud of hydrogen. It is a world of constant motion, where the gas is whipped into tornadoes of light, spinning silently in the Sagittarius arm of our galaxy. The sparkling cluster of the Jewel Box. In the southern sky, near the Southern Cross, sits a cluster of stars so colorful that astronomers named it the Jewel Box. It contains over 100 stars of varying colors, brilliant blues, deep reds, and soft yellows, all huddled together like gems on a velvet cloth. These stars are among the youngest known in the galaxy, shining with a collective intensity that pierces the darkness. It is a reminder that the universe is not just black and white, but a vibrant, glittering treasure chest waiting to be opened. The Bubble Nebula. Floating in the constellation Cassiopeia is a giant translucent sphere of gas known as the Bubble Nebula. This 7-light-year-wide bubble was blown by the intense wind of a massive, hot star sitting inside it. The star is 45 times more massive than our sun, and its radiation is pushing the cold interstellar gas outward, creating a delicate, glowing skin. It looks like a soap bubble drifting through the stars, a fragile and beautiful pocket of energy that will eventually pop and vanish into the deep field. The hidden heart of the Omega Nebula. The Omega Nebula, also known as the Swan, is a vast landscape of gas and dust where thousands of stars are coming to life. Its most famous feature is a curved ridge of hydrogen that looks like the neck of a swan gliding across a dark lake. Deep inside this ridge, the gas is so dense that it shields the interior from the harsh ultraviolet light of the galaxy. It is a sanctuary for the unborn, a quiet, hidden heart where gravity is slowly and patiently building the suns of the future. The final drift of the helix. As the Helix Nebula expands, its intricate structures of cometary knots, giant tadpole-shaped clumps of gas, are being pushed further out into space. Each of these knots is larger than our entire solar system.
They represent the final departing gasps of a star that was once very much like our own. As you listen to the silence of the deep field, imagine these knots drifting away into the dark, a slow motion farewell to a life that lasted billions of years, now returning its elements to the universe. The ghostly pillars of the south. Deep in the southern constellation of Carina, there exists a landscape of gas and dust so vast it dwarfs our entire solar system. These mystic mountains are pillars of cold hydrogen being eaten away by the fierce light of infant stars. Unlike the famous pillars of the Eagle, these are jagged and chaotic, resembling a stormy sea frozen in time. They are the silent nurseries of the deep field, where the shadows are heavy with the potential of 1,000 new suns. The Eye of the Dragon. The Cat's Eye Nebula is one of the most complex planetary nebulae ever discovered. It features concentric shells of gas, high-speed jets, and unusual shock-induced knots. From a distance, it looks like a glowing green and pink eye staring out from the constellation of Draco. Scientists believe the star at the center is actually a binary system, wobbling and throwing out rings of gas like a cosmic sprinkler, creating a masterpiece of geometry in the dark. The Great Barred Spiral of Eridanus. NGC 1300 is a galaxy that looks like a perfect cosmic propeller. Its center is dominated by a long, straight bar of stars that channels gas into the heart of the galaxy. This gas feeds a hidden black hole, while the spiral arms are lined with clusters of bright blue stars and dark lanes of dust. It is a grand design, a spinning masterpiece of celestial mechanics that has been rotating in the silence of the deep night for billions of years. The Medusa Nebula's final breath. Named after the snake-haired Gorgon of myth, the Medusa Nebula is a massive, glowing shell of gas in the constellation of Gemini. It was once a star similar to our Sun that reached the end of its life and shed its outer layers. These layers now drift through space as glowing filaments, slowly expanding and fading into the interstellar medium. It is a peaceful, glowing cemetery for a star, a final breath exhaled into the cold vacuum of the universe. The Diamond Star of Centaurus. Deep in the southern sky, there is a star that has literally turned into a jewel. This white dwarf, the cooling remains of a sun, has a core composed of crystallized carbon. Imagine a diamond the size of a planet, vibrating like a giant gong in the stillness of space. It is a relic of a once great fire, now a frozen, glittering monument to the physics of extreme pressure, shining with a pale, steady light that will last for trillions of years. The Red Rectangle of Monoceros. In a universe of circles and spheres, the red rectangle is a mystery that defies the usual curves of space. It is a nebula with a startlingly geometric X-shaped structure. While most clouds are round or chaotic, this one appears to have straight lines and sharp corners. It is likely created by two stars at the center, throwing out cones of gas that intersect in the dark. It is a rare piece of cosmic architecture, a sharp red diamond sitting in a sea of soft starlight. The ghostly veil of Cygnus. The Veil Nebula is a massive, delicate-looking cloud of gas, the shattered remains of a star that exploded thousands of years ago. It looks like a tattered, glowing lace curtain floating through the sky. These wispy filaments are traveling at millions of miles per hour, sweeping up the interstellar dust and gas as they expand. It is a ghost of a violent past, now transformed into a peaceful, ethereal painting that stretches across the deep sky. The Necklace of the Heavens. Looking like a giant ring of glowing diamonds, the Necklace Nebula was created by a pair of stars that danced too close together. One star swallowed the other, causing a massive explosion of gas that formed a ring spanning 12 trillion miles. The diamonds are actually clumps of dense gas that glow brightly under the radiation of the surviving stars. It is a cosmic wedding ring, a beautiful and tragic symbol of two stars that became one in a flash of light. The ancient light of Methuselah. Methuselah is a star that shouldn't be here. It is one of the oldest known objects in the universe, appearing to have formed shortly after the Big Bang. It has traveled across the galaxy at incredible speeds, a lonely survivor from the very dawn of time. Looking at it is like looking at the very first light of creation, an ancient, dim sun that has watched the entire history of the universe unfold from its front row seat. The hourglass of MCN 118. The Hourglass Nebula is a young planetary nebula that looks like a giant glowing eye staring back at us from the stars. Its two distinct lobes of gas were created by a dying star that ejected its material in opposite directions. The intricate rings inside look like the iris of an eye, a vivid and colorful reminder that as stars reach their end, they don't just fade away. They create intricate works of art that linger in the dark for thousands of years.
The Borisov Traveler. Shortly after the mystery of Oumuamua, a second interstellar visitor arrived in our system, Comet Borisov. Unlike its predecessor, Borisov looked very much like the comets we see from our own sun, complete with a tail of dust and gas. However, its chemistry was slightly different, containing much more carbon monoxide than local comets. It was a messenger from another star system, a piece of a distant world that survived a journey of millions of years through the empty dark. The rugged far side of the moon. We always see the same face of the moon, a landscape of dark, flat plains called Maria. But when we finally saw the far side, we were stunned. It is rugged, mountainous, and almost completely lacks the large, dark plains we are familiar with. Why are the two sides so different? Some suggest a second, smaller moon once crashed into the far side, coating it in a thick layer of highlands, forever hiding its secrets from our view. The deep caves of Mars. Orbital cameras have spotted something chilling on the slopes of Martian volcanoes, perfectly circular, pitch-black holes that appeared to lead straight down into the crust. These are the entrances to lava tubes, vast underground caverns formed by ancient volcanic flows. These caves are mysteries waiting to be explored. Shielded from radiation and extreme weather, they might be the last place where ancient Martian life still clings to existence in the dark. The ghostly clouds of Jupiter. Jupiter is famous for its colorful bands, but there are certain clouds that behave like ghosts. These are pop-up clouds, bright, small plumes that appear suddenly in the upper atmosphere and then vanish within hours. They are composed of ammonia ice and seem to be powered by intense lightning storms deep below. They are the fleeting signatures of a planet that is constantly boiling with energy, a world where the weather is a violent and temporary visitor. The invisible rings of Uranus. While Saturn's rings are made of bright, reflective ice, the rings of Uranus are made of something much darker, perhaps organic material, charred by radiation. They are so dark that we didn't even know they existed until they passed in front of a distant star. There are 13 known rings, narrow and sharp-edged, cutting through the teal darkness like ribbons of charcoal. They are the shadow rings, a subtle and mysterious crown for a distant giant.
The red arcs of Tethys. Tethys is a bright, icy moon of Saturn, but its surface is marked by a strange and colorful riddle. Long, narrow red streaks resembling blood-red brush strokes arc across its frozen face. These streaks don't follow the craters or mountains, they seem to be painted on top of the terrain. Some think they are the result of chemical impurities being released from the ice. They remain a vivid, scarlet mystery in a world of white and gray. The Great Filter. As we look through our telescopes, we eventually encounter the greatest mystery of all, the silence. If the universe is so filled with the building blocks of life, why haven't we found it yet? This is the Great Filter. Is life so rare that we are truly alone? Or is there a barrier that prevents civilizations from lasting long enough to be found? The silence of the stars is the most profound mystery we have ever faced. The acceleration of the solar wind. We know that the solar wind, a stream of charged particles, blows off the sun at millions of miles per hour. But as the wind moves further away, it actually speeds up. Something is giving these particles a second kick of energy as they leave the solar corona. Scientists are searching for the invisible magnetic hands that push the wind out into the abyss, fueling the constant stream of energy that bathes our entire solar system. Earth's ghost moons. Earth doesn't just have one moon, it often captures many moons. These are small asteroids caught in Earth's gravity that orbit us for a few months or years before being flung back out into space. Some are no bigger than a car, others are the size of a house. They are the temporary companions of our world, silent hitchhikers that join us on our journey before vanishing back into the velvet black, never to be seen again. The doom of Phobos. Mars's largest moon, Phobos, is living on borrowed time. It orbits so close to Mars that the planet's gravity is slowly pulling it inward at a rate of 6 feet every century. Within 50 million years, Phobos will either crash into the Martian surface or be shredded by gravity into a beautiful, dusty ring. It is a moon on a death march, a jagged rock doomed to be destroyed by the very world it serves. The escape of Deimos. While the moon Phobos is falling toward Mars, its smaller sibling, Deimos, is doing the exact opposite. Deimos is slowly drifting away from the red planet, spiraling outward into the dark. Eventually, millions of years from now, Deimos will break free from Mars's gravitational grip entirely and become a lonely asteroid once more, wandering the solar system without a home. It is a slow-motion goodbye, a silent parting of ways between a planet and its tiny, jagged companion. The Diamond Star. Far beyond the reaches of our sun lie the remnants of dead stars known as white dwarfs. Astronomers have discovered that as these stars cool, their carbon interiors can crystallize into giant planet-sized diamonds. One such star, nicknamed Lucy, is a diamond 10 billion trillion carats in size. While we cannot reach it, it serves as a reminder that the universe is a master of alchemy, turning the remains of ancient fire into the most precious of jewels in the cold of space. The ice on Mercury. Mercury is a world of fire, with daytime temperatures reaching 800 degrees Fahrenheit. Yet, in the deep craters at its poles, where the sun never shines, there is a mystery: literal water ice. These craters act as cold traps, preserving ice that may have been delivered by comets billions of years ago. In a place where the sun is a giant searing eye, these pockets of frozen water remain a chilling paradox, huddling in the permanent shadows of the innermost planet. The metallic snow of Venus. High atop the mountains of Venus, the atmosphere creates a weather phenomenon that seems like science fiction. Because the air is so heavy and hot, certain metals like lead and bismuth can evaporate into the sky. When they reach the cooler altitudes of the mountaintops, they condense and fall as metallic snow, coating the peaks in a shiny, reflective frost. It is a world where the very mountains are plated in metal, shimmering beneath a sky of thick, sulfuric clouds. The tumble of Nix and Hydra. Pluto has 5 moons, but 2 of them, Nix and Hydra, are particularly chaotic. Because they orbit a double planet system of Pluto and its large moon Charon, the gravity is constantly shifting. This causes Nix and Hydra to tumble and flip unpredictably as they move. If you lived on one of these moons, you would never know where the sun was going to rise, or even which direction was up. It is a world of total disorientation, dancing to the rhythm of a gravitational chaos. The long orbit of Sedna. Deep in the outer reaches of the solar system sits Sedna, a mysterious reddish world that takes 11,000 years to complete just one orbit around the sun. When Sedna was last in its current position, humans were just beginning to develop agriculture. It spends most of its life in the far-flung reaches of space, where the sun is nothing more than a particularly bright star. Why it has such a long, eccentric path remains a mystery. Perhaps it was pulled by a passing star long ago. The snowman of the Kuiper Belt. When the New Horizons probe flew past an object called a Rockoth, it found something that looked like a giant, flattened snowman. A Rockoth is made of 2 distinct lobes that were once separate objects before they gently touched and fused together. This contact binary is a pristine relic from the very beginning of the solar system. It shows us how planets began to form, not through violent collisions, but through a slow, gentle embrace in the cold, quiet dark of the outer belt. The magnetic pole flip. Our planet's magnetic field is a shield that protects us from solar radiation, but it is not a permanent fixture. Every few 100,000 years, the north and south magnetic poles decide to trade places. We are currently overdue for such a reversal. During the flip, the magnetic field weakens significantly, which could leave us vulnerable to solar storms. It is a silent planetary transformation that has happened hundreds of times in Earth's history, and it will happen again. The space roar. In 2006, NASA sent a balloon-borne instrument high into the atmosphere to look for signals from the first stars. Instead, it detected a mysterious, booming radio signal that was 6 times louder than expected. This space roar comes from all directions and doesn't seem to belong to any known stars or galaxies. It is a loud, static-filled mystery that drowns out the whispers of the early universe, a cosmic noise that we still cannot explain. The glowing crowns of Saturn. Like Earth, Saturn has auroras at its poles, but they behave very differently. Saturn's auroras are powered not just by the solar wind, but by the planet's incredibly fast rotation and its interaction with its many moons. These glowing crowns of ultraviolet light can tower over 1,000 miles above the clouds. They are the silent, electric ghosts of the giant, dancing in a magnetic rhythm that we are only just beginning to decode. The water ice on Psyche. The asteroid Psyche is widely known as a world of metal, a massive floating core of iron and nickel. However, recent observations have detected something that shouldn't be there: hydroxyl molecules, which suggest the presence of water ice or hydrated minerals on its surface. How can a metallic world, once the molten heart of a planet, hold on to water? It is possible that water-rich asteroids have been painting the surface of Psyche through collisions for billions of years, leaving icy scars on a body of cold, hard steel. The seasonal breath of Mars. Every year, as Mars travels around the sun, its polar caps undergo a dramatic transformation. These caps are made of a mix of water ice and dry ice, or frozen carbon dioxide. During the Martian winter, the dry ice grows, extending halfway to the equator. As spring arrives, the ice turns directly back into gas, increasing the pressure of the entire atmosphere. It is as if the planet is physically breathing, inhaling in the winter and exhaling in the summer, a rhythmic pulse of gas and frost that defines the Martian year. The moon's magnetic umbrella. The moon lacks a global magnetic field like Earth, but it possesses crustal anomalies, small, localized patches of magnetism scattered across its surface. These act like tiny umbrellas, shielding specific patches of lunar soil from the solar wind. Inside these umbrellas, the soil remains light and pristine, while the surrounding areas are darkened by radiation. They are the invisible remnants of a time when the moon had a molten core and a shield of its own, ghosts of a magnetic power that died billions of years ago. The solar tsunami. When the sun experiences a massive eruption called a coronal mass ejection, it can trigger a Moreton wave, a literal tsunami of hot plasma and magnetism that ripples across the sun's surface. These waves travel at nearly 1,000,000 miles per hour and can reach heights of 60,000 miles. They are gargantuan walls of fire that flatten everything in their path, a reminder that the sun is not just a light in the sky, but a violent and restless ocean of energy that we are only beginning to understand. The disappearing spot of Neptune. In 1989, Voyager 2 discovered the Great Dark Spot on Neptune, a storm large enough to swallow the Earth. But when the Hubble Space Telescope looked for it again a few years later, it was gone. Since then, new spots have appeared and vanished. Unlike Jupiter's Great Red Spot, which has lasted for centuries, Neptune's storms are fleeting and mysterious. They appear from the blue depths, rage for a few years, and then dissolve back into the abyss, leaving no trace behind. The liquid mirror of the moon. Astronomers have proposed a mystery for the future, a telescope on the moon made of a spinning pool of liquid mercury. Because the moon is so still and has no atmosphere, a liquid mirror could capture light from the very first stars born after the Big Bang. It would be a silver eye on a gray world, reflecting the origins of time itself. It remains a dream for now, a silent, reflective pool waiting for a time when we can finally build it in the lunar silence. The ghostly rings of Jupiter. Everyone knows the rings of Saturn, but Jupiter has a ring system too. It's just nearly invisible, made of fine dust kicked off by its inner moons during meteorite impacts. These rings are so thin that they can only be seen when the sun shines through them from behind. They are the ghost rings, a faint and dusty secret that reminds us that even the most powerful giants have subtle, delicate features that require the right light to be seen. The interplanetary dust. Every day, as Earth moves through space, it sweeps up about 100 tons of cosmic dust. This dust comes from comets shedding their tails and asteroids grinding against one another. It falls through our atmosphere as micrometeorites, landing on our roofs, in our hair, and in our oceans. We are constantly being covered in the debris of the solar system, a fine layer of star stuff that connects our quiet lives to the violent history of the planets. The pale blue dot. From the edge of the solar system, Earth is nothing more than a tiny pale blue dot suspended in a sunbeam. This image is the greatest mystery of all, how a speck of dust in a vast, dark cathedral can hold every person you've ever loved, every war ever fought, and every dream ever dreamt. It is a fragile, beautiful coincidence, a blue jewel in a velvet black box, floating in silence, so vast it is almost beyond our comprehension. The ultimate end. The final mystery of our solar system is how it will end. Billions of years from now, the sun will grow into a red giant, swallowing the inner planets and leaving the outer worlds frozen in a new, dark reality. Eventually, it will fade into a white dwarf, and the planets that remain will drift in a cold, eternal twilight. It is a journey that began in fire and will end in silence. A long, beautiful story of which we are a tiny, precious part.